Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Greenskins home turf, and they won't be suffering none of this halfling invaders, as the Greenskins will face off against the Dawi, as RTK Rusty will be commanding the Greenskins, and RTK Houseplant will have command of the Dawi this day. For the Greenskin army, the front line is going to be compiled mostly of just run-of-the-mill goblins. We do have the 8 Peak Loonies ROR unit on the far flank with their Fanatics ability, which does wonders against the high armor of the Dawi. In the secondary line, it is going to be a very heavy archer line, as we have Orc Arab Boys mixed in with some Savage Orc Arab Boys, looking to really put a volume of fire down onto the Dawi forces. Now, none of these guys really have any high armor piercing values, but with that many arrows firing away, they'll be able to get some nice, decent work in. For the back line, we do have triple Black Orcs, the elite of the Greenskins, and these guys have the armor piercing that they will need to deal with whatever the Dawi have to offer. We do have a couple of Orc Boar Chariots as well, and Morgrib's Mangy Marauders in the back, and these guys do have some nice armor-piercing missile fire to get some nice volleys in against the high armor that the Dawi will be bringing. For the Lords and Heroes, we have a Night Goblin Shaman coming in with Vindictive Glare, as well as with the Mad Cat Mushrooms to reduce that ability recharge timer. And for the Lord, it is Wurzag, as he is going to be coming in with Effigy of Degit and Brainburster with Gaze of Mork as well. And of course, he won't be leaving home without that Bonewood Staff, given that nice charge bonus and melee attack buff when he is casting spells. And so they are really going to be trying to single out any of the low entity models with that Vindictive Glare and Gaze of Mork. But for the Dawi line, we are going to be seeing a rather formidable air squad, as we do have triple gyrocopters with brimstone guns, as they are going to be flying around trying to snipe out those important targets, and a gyro bomber as well, going to be dropping bombs from up on high. And then for the rest of the Dawi line, it is going to be just a bunch of high armor infantry units, as we have Longbeards with their 100 armor mixed in with some Dwarf Warriors who have 85 armor themselves. So it's going to be quite a bit for the Greenskins to chew through. For the Lords and Heroes, we do have a Thoric Ironbrow, as Thoric is going to be rolling in with a few items of himself, but nothing too ridiculous, as he has Rune of Speed, as well as the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, which gives some nice fire damage, which will pair very nicely with what the Thane has on his own kit. And the Thane is going to be wearing an Iron Beard's Ring, which gives a plus 20% weakness to fire damage, and with the Warriors Dragonfire Pass as well, who do fire damage. And then we have the Master Engineer going to be getting some shots in, who has the Fiery Ring of Thori. So there is a lot of fire damage coming in this little tight pocket. So pairing with that reduction, or that increase to the weakness of fire damage that the Thane does offer, these guys are going to have some very nice synergy there. But on top of that, we do have Flash Bomb as well as Restock coming in from that Master Engineer, and that just can't forget about that missile as well. And he'll be firing away shots bit by bit throughout that fight. But that is going to be it for the army. So let's get things rolling, as the Greenskins are going to be opening fire early on against the Gyrocopter. Is going to be pushing forward, trying to get whatever shots he can, firing into the volley into those Savage Orc Arrow Boys, and going to be retreating away, as Wurzag is going to be kind of making a beeline towards these guys, trying to net them down with an Effigy of the Git and allow all of these archers to really sing as they get some nice damage in. But they'll have to catch up to the Gyrocopter first, and Wurzag is only on foot, so he's going to have a little bit of running to do before he's able to get in range for that ability. And in the meantime, the rest of the Dawi line are going to be marching on forward slowly but surely as they approach the Greenskin line, and it's just going to be goblins in that front line, but they really have to worry about all of that archer fire and those Black Orcs in particular, because they will be very hard to deal with. And Wurzag is going to take a few volleys, because really Wurzag and that Night Goblin Shaman are going to be very good targets for the Gyrocopter as well as that Master Engineer. Just try and get in whatever shots they can. And while they wait for some good targets, those archers are just going to be peppering that front line with whatever they can. And an Effigy that is going to be going off, keeping those Gyrocopters stuck in place, as the next volleys will almost surely be coming in from all of those archers as they rain down their arrows, and they'll be doing a nice bit of damage to that Gyrocopter, already taking that thing down below half health. but Warsack is going to be trying to pull on back because all of these gyrocopters are going to be in hot pursuit. He's able to dodge most of that incoming fire, but that is going to be the problem for him, is all of those units, because they cannot deal with them very, very quickly. And these orc boar chariots are going to be charging into that front line, hitting those longbeards, as the shots from those gyrocopters are just going to try and bring it down those chariots themselves. Some nice single entity models are exactly what they want to be firing in against, but this entire front line is doing a nice bit of damage so far, and we see a beautiful Fanatics just rip through both of these longbeards, and those dwarf warriors doing a ton of damage, but they have suffered quite a bit of damage themselves. But more and more volleys are doing a nice bit of damage as we get one of those runes of Wrath and Ruin right into the middle, taking out those goblins and do some damage to those black orcs. But those gyrocopters taking quite a bit of damage early on in this fight, though luckily for them they have not lost any models, but that gyro bomber on the other hand has taken a decent amount of damage, and it is only one model, so once that HP hits 0, down it shall fall. And in the front line, the Waaagh going off, just expiring. The Black Orcs, though, taking quite a bit of damage, taking quite a bit of bombing, as well as that gyrocopter is going to be taking a vindictive glare right to the face, and all that archer fire is able to push that thing back and just completely shatter it. So that is one threat gone from the skies. They still have 3 more to go, though, as Thoric Ironbrow, waiting in amongst these Black Orcs, is taking quite a bit of damage, as we get a Brain Burster right into the middle of all these Longbeards as well, doing some nice bit of damage there. And Thoric just getting dragged down. These Black Orcs just refusing to break, but they have taken a considerable amount of damage, as the Black Orcs on the flanks, though, coming into that fight full health units, and that is going to be a major problem for the Dawi here in the middle stages of this fight, as these Longbeards and Dwarf Warriors, they're not going to have a whole lot that they can do against those Black Orcs. They don't have the armor piercing themselves to pierce through that high armor, but these gyrocopters going to be firing in some shots, dropping more and more of those Black Orcs with every single volley. And we do have the Master Engineer just sitting peacefully in the secondary line, just firing away at Wurzeg, just getting shot after shot and whittling down the Prophet's HP shot by shot. But in the middle, Thoric Ironbrow is in a bit of a bad spot right now. Effigy to get is going off, going to be holding him down, as everything is going to be firing away, as Rune Speed does go down on Thoric, trying to get him out of that fight. A smoke bomb as well, just giving him as much clearance as he can, but he is routing and just on slivers of HP, only 174 left, and dropping as more and more arrows are going to be hitting him as he retreats from the field of battle, down to only 100 and down below that, though, as we do get that Night Goblin Shaman getting a little too close to that Thane, taking a bit of unnecessary damage there, as it is going to be backing off, probably trying to get a little too close, trying to fire that Vindictive Glare, but now the Vindictive Glare going to be going up, landing against that gyrocopter, bringing one down, as one more model does fall from this guy, but they still have so many left still alive and well. That is the only gyrocopter that has fallen yet this fight. All the other ones have every single model left, and Wurzeg is going to be getting hounded, as they are putting on some considerable pressure, as they are just trying to get any volley that they can off onto Wurzeg to get rid of the Greenskin Lord, as the Master Engineer as well, trying to get whatever shots that they can. Waaagh goes off, trying just to give them some space, but Wurzeg definitely doesn't have the DPS to deal with these gyrocopters, and he himself now is going to end up routing. There's just not enough to deter those gyrocopters from hounding him, as he is going to be getting pushed back. The Morgoth Mage Marauders are going to do whatever they can. They're going to be flying right underneath these gyrocopters, able to bring one down from the shots. There is still plenty left, but it is going to be too little too late, as Wurzeg does finally fall. And the gyrocopters have done their jobs quite well in that regard. For the rest of the units left for the Greenskins, the Black Orcs are getting exceptionally low. They're trying to do what they can, but a very nice bomb, 2 bombs just dropping right on those Black Orcs, is going to be causing those guys to rout. So gyrocopters definitely doing very well at dealing with what their infantry cannot, and that is the Black Orcs and Wurzeg and that Night Goblin Shaman doing some very nice damage there, as all of these archers to continue to pepper in to this dwarf core as more and more vindictive players just trying to bring down whatever they can, and they are able to drop another one of those gyrocopters, and they are going to cause these guys to rout as a couple more still alive and well up in the sky. Black Orcs coming back for seconds as they charge in. Thane trying to do a little bit of screening action, but they are going to be wading into melee against these Longbeards, and the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass doing some nice bit of damage to them, but they themselves are going to be getting pushed back from that Thane. And that Thane and that Master Engineer are going to be a rather tricky unit to deal with here in the late stages of this fight for the Greenskins. They don't really have anything left that can deal with single entities, and both of these units, I mean, even the Master Engineer has 120 armor. The Thane himself has 120 and shielded, so that is going to be quite the problem for even the Savage Orc era boys in dealing any decent damage to them. They're going to have to try and overwhelm them with the numbers that they have. I mean, Orc Air Boys and Savage Orc Air Boys are no slouches in melee. They are rather decent foes, especially for a ranged unit, as Morgo's Mage is cleaning up more and more of the stragglers, able to shatter these Dwarf Warriors, and will now be turning their attention more towards the last few units, as Vindictive Lair trying to deal with this Master Engineer just unfortunately is unable to land and a decent hit, as I mean, these guys do have a nice little bit of resistance to magic anyways. As the Greenskins, you see how many numbers that they have arrayed against just a handful of dwarf units that are left. Dwarf Warriors taking a brunt of the fire, as these guys are going to be getting pushed back themselves, but there is still a decent amount of units left kind of on the fringes. We do have these Longbeards way off onto the horizon, and Thoric himself is trying to return, and he does actually end up coming back to the fight with only 39 HP, and he's going to be trying to regroup with the rest of the units, but I don't know what good he will be able to do. He might be able to get a rune or two off before he does end up getting escorted off once again, because he is just on slivers of HP, and even the mere presence of any unit that the Greenskins have will probably be enough to push him back. Both of the gyrocopters are doing what they need to right now, making sure those Black Orcs are going to be unable to return. It's kind of swing out on to the far reaches, as these Longbeards are going to have a bit of a trek to kind of come back to the fight, but they will be coming slowly but surely. But in the meantime, Morgo's Mage Marauders doing an excellent job of cleaning things up. Nice charge into those Longbeards, should be able to break them, even though they aren't exactly well tooled to deal with them. There's only a handful of them left, as now Thoric going to be under target from the rest of the remaining archer units, as the fiery ring as well goes right through those Savage Orc Arrow Boys, doing some nice damage to them, and Thoric's doing a decent job of dodging what he can, but he is going to finally end up shattering, only down to 15 HP, was able to hang on until he was pretty much on death's door. But balance of power shifting bit by bit into the Dawi's favor, as the Greenskins are using up their very precious ammunition. Orc Boar Chariots are going to be diving in, but they do get a flash bomb, which is going to be reducing their speed by 60%, and they are now down to only a measly 28 speed, which is going to allow even a Thane to slowly catch up, who now has 32. But the Orc Boar Chariots is going to be able to kind of pull out just as that is expiring, but that Master Engineer able to drop one of them on their retreat, and is going to shatter the last remaining chariot. And with that, that is really it for good, strong melee units, as the archers using up pretty much all that they have left, forming a nice little ring around the remaining heroes of the Dawi, as the gyrocopters going to be coming back from chasing that Black Orc off the field, going to be trying to just use up what they can. Just a few volleys left themselves, only 5, but they are going to be able to do some nice damage, as they are be wavering these Savage Orcs and those Orc Arrow Boys with their volleys. But there's still quite a bit of volume of fire coming up from the ground against those gyrocopters, as they're just slowly getting their HP drained bit by bit, as these Longbeards are going to be trying to get regroup with the rest of the Dawi, and these guys are going to be using the last of their ammunition on making sure that the last two heroes don't have any of that additional support, and these two gyrocopters just trying to dodge what they can, but they have just like 1 or 2 volleys left from those Orc Arrow Boys, 1 left, and if they are able to survive through that, they may be able to kind of clean up a little bit on the edges, trying to clear out whatever infantry that they can from the Greenskins. Morgoth's Mage Marauders, a nice little charge into these Longbeards, just going to be trying to cycle them down as best that they can, and the Greenskin Archers have pretty much used up the last of their ammunition. Only a couple units still have anything left to fire away, and these gyrocopters are going to be using up pretty much the last of their own ammunition. Only 1 volley left, and they are able to shatter 1 unit of Orc Arrow Boys, and with their ammunition gone, they don't really have a whole lot of value left in them, considering these guys aren't really exactly melee units. Even these Orc Arrow Boys will have no problem, but they are able to get a little bit extra ammunition with that restock from the Master Engineer, and that is going to breathe a little bit more life into their usefulness, as now they're going to be turning their attention right to this Goblin as they just do 1 volley, and that is all it is going to take to rout that one off, completely shatter it off the charge. And now it is down just to the archer line, and those archers don't have anything left to fire away. I think we might have 1 volley left on these Orc Arrow Boys, and 1 on, or 2, or actually 3 on this other unit, but still that is not going to be quite enough to deal with the high armor of the Thane and that Master Engineer, as they're just going to have to try and drown them in bodies at this point as they charge on forward, trying to whatever they can to push these Dawi back from their own lands. Longbeard's taken the last remaining arrows from the Orc Arrow Boys, and they will be charging in. Savage Orc Arrow Boys and Orc Arrow Boys will be there to meet them. They do outnumber the Longbeards, but the Longbeards have plenty of armor, and they will be able to tank these guys for quite a decent amount of time. Thane is going to be pushing back the Savage Orc Arrow Boys, able to rout them off, but these Longbeards themselves, actually they are fairly active, so they're not quite as exhausted, but that back charge from the Morgoth's Mage Marauders right into the Longbeards might be enough to break them, but a very well-timed flash bomb as they charge forward, reducing that melee defense and speed, is going to cause the Morgoth's Mage Marauders as well to end up breaking. But the Longbeards are going to be able to get pushed back, and with that, it is down to just the Master Engineer and the Thane, as they have quite a few units of Greenskins still left on the field. Plenty of Orc Arrow Boys with the balance power heavily in their favor, and their leadership getting a little low there, got a little probably scary for a second, as their leadership is going to be getting a nice little bit of boost on that charge, and they wade into melee one more time, trying to deal with whatever the Greenskins have left, and the Greenskins slowly running out of steam. Balance power definitely saying they don't have a whole lot of hope left. Pushing back these Orc Arrow Boys, nothing can really hold up against these 2 units, or more importantly, nothing can really do enough damage to these 2 units left, and I think that is pretty much going to be all she wrote for the Greenskins. They try and chase down these Longbeards, but it's still going to be a monumental task, and with that, Greenskins are going to concede, seeing that it's just a little bit too much of an uphill battle to deal with those 2 units. So let's take a look at the after battle report to see how things did fare on both sides. Now for the Greenskins, we'll go over them first. Warzaeg and the Night Goblin Shaman only getting about 700, 800 between them, both, and then the rest of the front line just pretty much goblins, not going to be doing a whole lot, not really going to be expecting a whole lot. They're pretty much there just to generate that Waaagh, and then to just give a little bit of just a body blocker for the Black Orcs. The AP Clooney's had 1 very, very nice Fanatics, able to take out a couple of units of the Dawi, rack up 1,400 value in the meantime, so a very well spent cost on them. Black Orcs, on the other hand, 1,300 and 700, so only 1 of them even did that well. The other 2 units got broken down pretty well. Those gyrocopters doing an excellent job in that regard with their bombs, and their brimstone guns were able to really huck these guys off one at a time. As for the rest of the archer line, able to generate some decent damage, 500 kind of for the lot of them. Morgoth's Mage Marauders doing quite well, getting over 1,000, and then both of the chariots not doing all too great. Definitely has some good control on the Dawi side, and the Master Engineer as well was doing very good at cleaning up those low entity models. Thoric got taken out of the fight fairly early on, but the Thane and the Master Engineer, particularly the Master Engineer, getting to 1,000 in total total damage, was able to just use up so much ammunition and give a whole lot of ammunition as well to those gyrocopters up in the sky. Rest of the Dowie units not going to be expecting too much from that front line, though they were just there to just last as long as possible, and boy did they do exactly that, which gave that Master Engineer and these gyrocopters all that the time that they needed to get whatever shots that they could. Gyro Bomber on the hand not doing all too great, but the Dwarves were just able to outlast the Greenskins here as they do make advances into the Badlands of the Greenskin territory. But with that, we are going to close things off. I hope you enjoyed the battle, and as always, have a good one.